Okay guys, this took me a while to make because admittedly I lost the footage and couldn't find it. So this is my second Skyrim audio description gameplay video. If you missed the first one, I'll put a link in the pinned comment in the in-video card here. But without much further ado, you've all waited long enough for this to come out, so let's get right into it. Mercix awakens after sleeping 11 straight hours in Girder and Hod's home. He was exhausted from the horrors of Helgen yesterday. He wakes up, brushes the sleepies from his eyes as he realizes he is starving. He runs to the table and grabs 2 bottles of Nord mead before grabbing the array of drinks and full cheese wedges and begins to devour them. Mercix is no stranger to wine for breakfast though. At least the cheese makes it a little bit classier. He drinks 6 bottles of wine and mead and ale along with the cheese wedges. He doesn't even sit down, just standing at the house bar. He composes himself, remembering that he is in someone else's home, when he sees Hod sitting on a twin-sized cot, tankard in hand, presumably watching in awe. Mercix eats an apple, a few carrots, and a sweet roll and wine before talking to Hod. Oi,
Got business here in Riverwood, eh? There are worse villages.
So what you think about the war?
I've got enough to worry about, taking care of my family. I don't concern myself with such matters.
Thanks again, mate.
Aye.
Mercix turns towards the wine cabinet and the kitchen table, takes all the food. They were kind to offer, and though he does feel bad about taking advantage of their generosity, he's in a new land and doesn't know where his next meal could be. He stuffs his pockets before getting up from the table. Ralof is standing by a fire, cooking a stew. Mercix approaches.
I hope to see you in Windhelm. Good luck.
How do I get to Right One from here?
Just head north. You can't miss it. It's the capital of Whiterun Hold. Jarl Balgruuf still hasn't declared for one side or the other. So at least you won't run into any Imperials along the way.
And what's on the Stormcloaks?
Ulfric's capital is Windhelm, northeast of here. You'll want to talk to Galmar Stonefist, Ulfric's right-hand man. He handles the new recruits. I'll be sure to put in a good word if I get to Windhelm ahead of you.
Was that a dragon on your side?
What? Oh, hardly. I don't think even Ulfric could pull a dragon out of his pocket. Lucky for us it attacked when it did, eh? I wasn't looking forward to getting a shave from the Imperial headsman.
Why were you being executed?
Seriously? You don't know? That was Ulfric Stormcloak himself.
Nah, I don't pay much attention to current events.
Oh, right. They said you were captured crossing the border. Still, I'm surprised you haven't heard of Ulfric. He's our leader. The leader of the Stormcloaks.
Who are the Stormcloaks anyways?
Surely, even down in Cyrodiil, people have heard news of the war in Skyrim. The Nords are tired of spending our blood fighting the Empire's wars, and paying for the Empire's decadence with our taxes. Ulfric is our rightful High King. He's leading the fight to drive the Empire out of Skyrim, once and for all.
How'd you end up as Imperial prisoners?
I was assigned to Ulfric's guard. We were on our way to Darkwater Crossing, in the south of Eastmarch. The Imperials were waiting for us. As pretty an ambush as I ever saw. We were outnumbered 5 to 1 at least. Ulfric ordered us to stop fighting. Didn't want us all to die for nothing, I guess. I thought they were taking us south to Cyrodiil. Parade us in front of the Emperor. But then, we stopped in Helgen. And you know the rest. I'm going to rest up here a while before heading to Windhelm. Be careful.
Ralof hits his spoon against the pot. as Mersix, somehow still hungry, approaches the dinner table. There are candles and decorative horns, as well as 2 empty pots next to his plates. Seeing 3 wine bottles, Mersix immediately grabs them, along with the remaining food in the house. Mersix goes to the cooking pot and cooks up a cabbage potato soup and a potato soup, using the ingredients he gathered throughout the house. He eats the potato soup and finally feels better and satisfied. He leaves the house. The way the food satisfying works is a little weird. Cooked meals are much more filling than entire gallons of wine and cheese. Now that the house is devoid of food and drink, Mersix finally takes his leave. The hairy bull looks at him before he turns back into the town proper. He passes Fandal's house, though it's locked. He heads towards the Riverwood Trader, knowing he might want to lighten his load and increase his coin purse before his journey to Whiterun. He enters the pawn shop and there's a store counter with an imperial man in red with short hair and a goatee. Lucan Valerius, who is arguing with a beautiful younger imperial woman, Camilla Valerius, standing on the customer side of the counter. She's wearing a yellow belted tunic with hair tied back with 2 braids. Mersix enters.
Well, one of us has to do something.
I said no. No adventures, no theatrics, no thief chasing.
Well, what are you going to do then, huh? Let's hear it.
We are done talking about this. Oh, a customer. Sorry you had to hear that.
Lucan noticed Mersix as Camilla walks by.
Maybe you could talk some sense into my pig-headed brother.
Realizing quickly who she is, Mersix says, "Bendo asked me to give you this letter and say it was from Sven."
He what? What are you talking about? Why, that jealous idiot. Thought he could just manipulate me into never seeing Sven again? Thank you for telling me the truth. You should speak to Sven. I'm sure he'll want to thank you too for defending his name.
Mersix heads towards the counter and talks to Lucan.
Well, I don't know what you overheard, but the Riverwood Trader is still open. Feel free to shop. The Riverwood Trader is everything you need in a general store.
Did something happen?
Yeah, we did have a bit of a break-in. We still have plenty to sell. Robbers were only after one thing. An ornament, solid gold in the shape of a dragon's claw.
I could help you get the claw back.
You could? I've got some coin coming in from my last shipment. It's yours if you bring my claw back. Now, if you're going to get those thieves, you should head to Bleak Falls Barrow, northeast of town.
Lucan turns to Camilla.
Yes. So now you don't have to go, do you?
Oh, really? Well, I think your new helper here needs a guide.
No, By the 8, fine. But only to the edge of town.
Camilla gets up from the table and turns to Mersix.
This way.
She heads out the door as Mersix follows.
We have to go through town and across the bridge to get to Bleak Falls Barrow. You can see it from here, though. The mountain just over the buildings.
She points up to the ruins in the mountains we once saw.
This way.
Opening up the map for a second, we mark the quest and Bleak Falls Barrows, so our HUD shows us the direction to go.
Beetlejuice must be mad hiding out there. Those old crypts are filled with nothing but traps, trolls, and who knows what else. This way.
Mercix follows Camilla, though she stops moving, noticing the bard from before. We head over.
You look like a traveler. Someone that has seen faraway places and heard new stories.
I don't think Camilla will be spending any more time with Vendal.
Now that's what I like to hear. Good work. I think you deserve some gold from my tips at the inn.
I saw a dragon in Helgen.
Truly? So maybe my mother isn't crazy after all. You had best tell the Jarl in Whiterun. He needs to know about this.
Since I helped you, I need you to help me. Help Camilla. Follow me.
I suppose Master Neloth won't mind. He's always telling me to get out of his way.
Sven the Bard is now accompanying Mercix as they head towards Bleak Falls Barrow, on their way out of town. On their way out of town, Mercix says to Camilla, I'll be back with your claw, before heading onward. The two head under the outer gate of the town and over a stone bridge. A river flows beneath as the stone path they continue on begins to degrade into a dirt road, ascending the mountain. There are evergreen pines on both sides. A wolf around the corner pounces from the bushes. Mercix raises his mace, but misses before the wolf bites him. The wolf lunges again, but Mercix catches him with his shield before delivering a fatal blow to the side of the beast with his mace. He takes the pelt and continues upward, checking back to see if Sven is still following. The air is chilly as the land surrounding begins to turn whiter and whiter, with every step having more snow on the ground than the last. Mercix, as hardened as he is, still takes a second to enjoy the view. The white snow-capped mountains in the distance to the south are surrounded by hills and tall pine trees, straight out of a Bob Ross painting. Some of the taller mountains even pierce the wisping clouds above. Continuing on, heading back on the path leading up the mountain, is a seemingly abandoned watchtower, built into the side of the mountain path. The two begin to head towards it before noticing two figures in the distance. One a female on the path, and the other a male, standing on a small stone bridge between the path and the tower. They raise their weapons and stand aggressively about 20 feet away. Unnerved by their stance, Mercix draws his shield and mace as well. Mercix says, We're just passing through, no trouble. The Nord female bandit has a black stripe across her eyes, a mohawk, and a two-handed greatsword, the other being an archer. She charges in for attack. Mercix blocks with his shield, as Sven's arrow cleanly pierces her heart. Mercix runs towards the archer and hits him in the left temple. The bandit stumbles on the ground. He hits the left side of the archer's face again. He tries to get up before a backswing hits his face on the right side, killing him. Mercix's mace drips with blood as he grabs the archer's arrows. Looking up, a new opponent, a Nord woman, comes out of the tower with an iron helmet with curved horns, mace and a shield. They square off. She shield bashes Mercix, sending off balance. They both step back to the opposite side of the bridge and taunt. She bashes her shield with her mace. She winds up a powerful mace swing, and Mercix shield bashes her back. She's off balance. He reels back. Another massive swing before hitting her in the head. She falls dead on the bridge. Mercix takes her armor and mace, dropping his imperial gear on the floor. He leaves the highwaymen to rot and enters the tower. is a small desk for eating and a coin purse. Cold now as he checks the food stores in the tower. Mere vegetables, but he takes them. Continuing up the snow-covered roof, there is a chest with some potions and a silver sword. Sven follows. Now, since we are playing on survival, we are losing health due to the cold. Mercix imbues his left hand with a healing spell and begins to heal the red bar on the bottom, indicating his health. There is a darker red on the ends, signifying that the max available hit points has decreased. It's snowing here, and it's becoming more difficult to see in the distance. They turn a corner and now at the base of Bleak Falls Barrows, as the runes and arches are now in view. Each arch has what looks like a stone carving at the horse at the top and on the bottom. 3 bandits stand on the stairs in the hero's way to entry. Mercix draws his weapon. A bandit comes around with a hammer and attempts to ambush him, but quickly takes 2 blows to the head from Mercix, as she quickly gets cut down. An archer ahead shoots. Mercix blocks and charges in.
Die, damn you! I'll mount your head on my wall!
The bandit tries to switch to a dagger, but is met with a similar fate. Far away, one more is firing arrows at Mercix. He runs in.
Can't win this! You'll be so much easier to rob when you're dead!
Smashes the bandit's face with the shield before hitting him in the neck with a sideways swipe of the shield. He falls dead. His body slumps off a ledge and falls down the ruins and into the mountain. Searching the bodies, Mercix takes only golden arrows.
I'm right behind you. What do you want me to carry?
He decides to give some of his items to Sven, to better his chances against the bandits, as he imagines they'll be fighting more once they get inside. Gives him all the arrows as well as a steel sword.
Let's get going then.
Mercier heals once more before entering. As soon as they enter, Mercier and Sven crouch as there are a group of bandits on the opposite side of the room. A litany of dead skeevers, rodents of unusually large size, lay around a deceased bandit. Mercier checks his pockets, only taking a pickaxe. They continue to sneak towards the group of bandits, with a large pillar in the middle of the room blocking their vision.
That dark elf wants to go on ahead, let him. Better than us, risking our necks.
What if Harvel doesn't come back? I want my share from that claw.
Just shut it. Keep an eye out for trouble.
Is someone
Wearing
there?
heavy armor, Mercier isn't very sneaky. The moment he sees the bandits begin to come his way, he springs into battle. He kills the first man with a blow to the face, followed by a shield bash, before rushing the woman, an archer, and killing her with one swift blow to the head. He checks their gear, but only grabs a shield and gives it to Sven.
I'm right behind you. What do you want me to carry?
Not much need for an archer down here, take this, he thinks, anticipating tight corridors in a dungeon. Standing by the fire, the chill leaves his body. Mercier finds a venison chop on one of the bodies and eats it. There's a locked chest by the fire with some gold, a potion, and a torch. Mercier equips the torch in his left hand and heads forward in the cavern. There are 3 walls of cobwebs he must push through before a series of altars and burial urns. He looks inside and loots some gold. Further down, there is a cave to the left with lots of overturned stone and roots. He turns to continue right. Down some stairs, there's a few shelves with linens across a lit brazier. He grabs a minor magic potion and continues forward. Passing some lit candles, he continues down the hall until he sees a bandit. He crouches and stows his torch for his iron shield. He creeps to the threshold of the door as the bandit approaches a lever in a large open room. Upon pulling the lever, a barrage of arrows just come out of the wall and tear him apart. Damn, Mercier thinks to himself, wondering how he could avoid the same fate. He approaches and loots the bandit for some gold. He turns around and gives Sven a torch and begins to observe his surroundings.
I've got your back.
Oh, it is for me.
What do you want me to carry?
He looks around, Past the lever, there is a locked gate, and above there is 3 spaces for large stone faces which are carved directly into the wall. The one on the left has an insignia of a snake, and on the right, a whale. A middle one has fallen to the ground by the lever, with a snake insignia as well. There are 3 stone dials to the left that are each 3-sided. They have similar insignias, but with a bird's shape as well. Mercier thinks to himself, well, this ain't exactly a brain buster, as he walks over to the first pillar. It is a bird, but he rotates it to a snake to match the first. Moving to the second, he does the same. Moving to the third, he turns it to a whale. Here goes. He pulls the lever, and the gate opens to a room with some chests and tables. He first grabs a health potion on the table in the back and reads a book called The Thief. Thief by Revan. If the reader has not yet had the pleasure of reading the first volume in the series on the life of Eslaf Earl, Beggar, he should close this book immediately, for I shan't recap. I will tell you this much, gentle reader. When we last saw Eslaf, he was a boy, an orphan, a failed beggar, running through the wild winter woods of Skyrim, away from his home of Earlgard. He continued running, stopping here and there for many more years until he was a young man. Eslaf discovered that among the ways of getting food, asking for it was the most troublesome. Far easier was it finding it in the wilderness or taking it from the unguarded market stalls. The only thing worse than begging to get food was begging for the opportunity to work for that money to buy it. That seemed needlessly complicated. No, as far as Eslaf was concerned, he was best off being a scavenger, a beggar, and a thief. He committed his first act of thievery shortly after leaving Earlgard, while in the southern woods of Tamburkar, in the rugged land near Mount Jensen, the village of Horheld. Eslaf was starving, having not eaten anything but a rather scrawny raw squirrel in 4 days, and he smelled meat cooking and found the smoke. A band of minstrel bards was making camp. He watched them from the bushes as they cooked, and joked and flirted and sang. He could have asked them for some food, but so many others had refused him before. Instead, he rushed out, grabbed a piece of meat from the fire, and winced from the burns, scrambled up to the nearest tree to devour it while the bard stood under him and laughed. "What is your next move, thief?" giggled a fair red-headed woman who was covered with tattoos. "How do you intend to disappear without us catching you and punishing you?" As the hunger subsided, Eslaf realized she was right. The only way to get out of the tree was without falling in their midst was to take the branch down to where it hung over a creek. It was a drop of a cliff of about 50 feet. That seemed like the wisest strategy, so Eslaf began crawling in that direction. "You do know how to fall, wee boy," called the young Khajiit, but a few years older than Eslaf. Thin but muscular, graceful in the slightest movements. "If you don't, you should just climb down here and take what's coming to you. It's idiotic to break your neck when we just give you some bruises and send you on your way." "Of course I know how to fall," Eslaf called back, but he didn't. He just thought the trick of falling was to have nothing underneath you and let nature take its course. But 50 feet up, when you're looking down, is enough to give anyone pause. "I'm sorry to doubt your abilities, Master Thief," said the Khajiit, grinning. "Obviously you know how to fall feet first with your body straight but loose to avoid cracking like an egg. It seems you are destined to escape us." Eslaf wisely followed the Khajiit's hints and leapt into the river, falling without much grace, but without hurting himself. In the years that followed, he had to make several more drops from even greater heights, usually after a theft, sometimes without the water beneath him, and he improved the basic technique. When he arrived in the western town of Jotunheim, on the morning of his 21st birthday, it didn't take him long to find out who was the richest person, most deserving of being burgled. An impregnable palace in a park near the center of town was owned by a mysterious young man named Soybod. Eslaf wasted no time in finding his palace and watching it. The fortified palace he had come to learn was like a person with its quirks and habits beneath its hard shell. It was not an old place. Evidently, whatever money this Soybod had come into was fairly recent. It was regularly patrolled by guards. It was not an old place. Evidently, whatever money this Soybod had come into was fairly recent. It was regularly patrolled by guards. implying that the rich man was fearful of being burgled, with good reason. The most distinctive feature of the palace was its tower, rising 100 feet above the stone walls, doubtless giving the occupant a good defensive view. Eslaf guessed that if Soybud was as paranoid as he guessed him to be, the tower would also provide a view of the palace storehouse. The rich man would want to keep an eye on his fortune. That meant the loot couldn't be directly beneath the tower, but somewhere in the courtyard within the walls. The light in the tower shone all night long, so Eslaf boldly decided that the best time to burgle was by the light of day, when Soybud must sleep. That would be the time the guards would least expect the thief to pounce. And so when the noon sun was shining over the palace, Eslaf quickly scaled the wall near the front gate and waited, hidden in the crenellations. The interior courtyard was plain and desolate, with few places to hide, but he saw that there were two wells. One the guards used from time to time to draw up water and slake their thirst, but Eslaf noticed that guards would pass the other well, never using it. He waited until the guards were distracted just for a second by the arrival of a merchant in a wagon bearing goods for the palace. While they were searching his wagon, Eslaf leapt elegantly, feet first, from the wall into the well. It was not a particularly soft landing for, as Eslaf had guessed, the well was not full of water, but gold. Still, he knew how to roll after a fall, and he didn't hurt himself. In the dank subterranean storehouse, he stuffed his pockets with gold, and was about to go to the door which he assumed would lead to the tower when he noticed a gem the size of an apple, worth more than all the gold that was left. Eslaf found room for it down his pants. The door did indeed lead to the tower, and Eslaf followed its curving stairwell up, walking quietly but quickly. At the top he found the master of the palace's private quarters, ornate and cold, with invaluable artwork and decorative swords and shields on the walls. Eslaf assumed the snoring lump under the sheets was Soybud, but he didn't investigate too closely. He crept out the windows and looked out. It was going to be a difficult fall for certs. He needed to jump from the tower past the walls and hit the tree on the other side. The tree branches would hurt, but they would break his fall, and there was a pile of hay he had left under the tree to prevent further injury. Eslaf was about to leap when the occupant of the room started yelling, "My gem!" Eslaf stared at him for a second, wide-eyed. They looked alike, not surprising since they were brothers. Eslaf Earl's story is continued in the book Warrior. Mercix closes the book and turns to grab a nearby lesser soul gem, a purple crystal that is used to recharge the enchantments of items. There's a spiral staircase to the left, leading down further into the delve. A large skeever approaches and is met with a quick flame from Mercix's left hand. The charred rat's body slumps back down the stairs, still smoldering. Mercix loots an ornate chest for a potion and more gold before heading down. More skeevers that equally get the barbecue treatment. Mercix takes the opportunity to taste one of the charred meat, figuring they were already cooked. By eating a skeever tail, he feels sick immediately and suffers from damaged stamina regen.
That was rancid, mate. I don't know what I was expecting.
Continues down into a long, narrow hallway covered in cobwebs.
Is someone coming? Is that you?
On hearing voices,
Bjorn,
he crouches.
I know I ran ahead of you before, but I need help.
He loots a skeleton here as a thick doorway of cobwebs blocks his progress. He cuts through. A giant spider descends from the ceiling and his pincers immediately stab Mercix. He's hurt but takes a few potions before dodging to the right and peppering with flame. their attention is on Sven, who's barely blocking the pinches with his shield. The beast is defeated as a Dunmer. Arvel the Swift is calling from some cobwebs. He's entombed, with only his head sticking out.
You! Over here! You did it. You killed it. Now cut me down before anything else shows up.
Where's the golden claw?
Yes, the claw. I know how it works. The claw, the markings, the door in the Hall of Stories. I know how they all fit together. Help me down and I'll show you. You won't believe the power the Nords have hidden there.
Hand over the claw first.
Does it look like I can move? You have to cut me down first.
Fine, but don't try anything.
It's coming loose. I can feel it.
Mercix cuts down the man, and he bolts for it running.
You fool. Why should I share the treasure with that?
Sighing now that he has to run, Mercix gives chase, spools up some fire in his hand, and casts it on the fleeing fool. His shoulder burned, Arvel turns and draws his sword, but it's not the barrage of flames as he is burned to the ground. Didn't have to be this way, mate. Mercix heals himself a bit with his left hand.
I don't think I like where this is going.
I didn't want to kill the bastard, Mercix says back to Sven. He takes Arvel's journal from his pockets and reads it. It says, trembling, the golden claw is finally in my hands, and with it the power of the ancient Nordic heroes. That fool Lucan Valerius had no idea that his favorite store decoration was actually the key to Bleak Falls Barrow. Now I just need to get to the Hall of Stories and unlock the door. The legend says there is a test that Nords put in place to test the unworthy away, but that when you have the golden claw, the solution is in the palm of your hands. Mercix puts down the journal as a Draugr is charging him. He rolls back and takes a small cut as Sven charges in, shield in hand. A quick few mace shots take care of the approaching forces. Mercix lose them for gold. Draugr are effectively Nord zombies, to my understanding, that defend tombs. They seem to be in catacombs now. The bodies of Nords litter the walls, each laid to rest with gold, which Mercix takes and feels not really any more remorse for. More Draugr appear and are cut down. Moving forward, there is a pressure plate next to a wall of spikes. Mercix nods it out to Sven before they deftly avoid it. Another room of Catacombs of Draugr, and dispatching the first one gets us a level up. There's 3, and our heroes are outnumbered. With the help of some healing magic, Mercix takes out 2. And begins to flank the one battling Sven. He's not a warrior, and his hands are full. A one-click blow to the back of the head takes it out. Fully healed now, they continue to a hallway with swinging blades. Mercic, still a bit drunk, takes some damage from the blades as he stumbles through. He quickly hits a chain to stop the mechanism in time for an injured and crawling Sven to knock it free.
I'm drunk, mate. What's your excuse?
Mercic mocks him. They continue on to an even deeper catacomb. Draugr stands stoically at the ready to defend these halls. One head wields a mighty ancient Nord greatsword, but it's still cut down in 2 swings. Bludgeoning weapons are strong against these enemy types. 3 more appear. The tight corridors make it difficult for Mercic to cast, so when he fires a lightning spell, unfortunately Sven takes some friendly fire. Mercic finishes him off with a lightning spell called Sparks in his left hand. They continue on through the dark corridors, but reach large lit braziers and a waterfall. A chest and another strong Draugr await. Mercic says heal once more, they're very tough. He pulls a lever and a gate opens. He follows a large stream to an open cavern with glowing green mushrooms on the wall, casting light. A dead miner skeleton is here, next to an ore vein. Mercic takes some ore with his new pickaxe from before. It weighs a full pound, so we can't really farm that right now. A chest up ahead with some potions and some gold as well. The water falls out of the cavern into a snowy opening below, but a Draugr notices the party and is seen charging to the right. There's a pathway to our right, next to the chest, and the two get ready for a fight. The female Draugr's got a shield and holds her own against Mercic after a few blows. One clean blow to the head takes it out. At the bottom of the falls is another chest and a skeleton. He begins to lockpick the chest and finds some golden arrows. Mercix isn't much of an archer, but it never hurts to have some range. He travels back up the snowy natural ramp and goes back into the caves. Braziers are lit here as well. Mercix thinks to himself over a quick bottle of Alto wine.
I always wonder who lights all these fires in these dungeons. Like, is it some culty's 9-to-5 job to just go in dungeon to dungeon and just avoid traps all day and just like light these so adventurers could come through?
After his drink and pondering, he continues on. He's had more drinks today than anyone should have in a week. A restless Draugr with a huge warhammer charges forth and fast. Barely enough time for him to raise his shield. He blocks it before hitting a few times. When he's out of stamina, he steps back and Sven steps in with a spinning strike to kill him. Mercix double taps the dead Draugr just in case, before moving to a lockpick chest nearby. An amethyst gem as well as some gold. Going to the door, he's met with a shrine of dragons with a large fire in the middle.
I don't think I like where this is going.
He continues past it, and
I've
there's
got your
more
back.
swinging blades ahead.
You go on ahead.
Mercix tells Sven to wait this time as they go through. He stops the mechanism with the chain as Sven is running up to him.
I thought I told you.
A Draugr hits Mercix from behind. Mercix turns and plunges his mace so hard into the Draugr face that it gets stuck in its eye socket for a moment before Mercix rips it out.
We heading out? Let's get going.
He heals a bit and tells Sven to follow him again. The restoration spell level up as well, but again, we can't actually level up until we rest in a bed. Climbing up the wooden stairs, two more Draugr are easily smashed to the top. Some gems and gold once again. Sven blocks Mercix because this is a game, so Mercix jumps off the second story to go around and go back up the stairs and now cross a stone bridge. Another double door opens to a large hallway with hieroglyphics along the wall. Seems to be people worshipping some kind of matron of some kind. At the end of the hallway is a spot for the golden claw and a mechanism of a 3-ringed dial. Reading Avel's journal where it said, "The answer is in the palm of your hand," Mercix begins to investigate the claw. It's a dragon claw made of gold with an icon of a bear, dragonfly, and owl from the top to the bottom of its palm.
Damn, these no bastards need to get better security, mate.
He affixes the dials to the same order of bear, dragonfly, and owl before putting the claw's 3 fingers into the 3 holes in the center of the mechanism. Mercy stands back as the stone door opens. Continue up the stairs into a large cavern with braziers on the right, but a large shrine in the left side of the room.
What is this?
Mercy ponders as he crosses over and heads towards the stone fixture. He approaches the shrine. His markings on the wall glow blue and begin to circle him.
What was that?
He asks as he suddenly gained the knowledge of a shout, though he has no ability to use it yet. Nearby, a coffin opens up behind him as a Draugr overlord arises from the inside and begins to charge. Mercix begins to immediately pepper him with flames, though is largely undeterred. It's stronger than the others. It shouts, and Mercix is pushed back by the sheer force of the voice. The two manage to flank it on both sides and manage to take it down. They get a dragonstone, a large pentagon-shaped plate with a picture of a dragon on it. Mercix looks around for things of note and gets another soul gem and gold of a large ornate chest before looking back at the markings of the stone wall where they came from. There is a primitive carving of a dragon head in this wall. Mercix thinks that's enough chaos for one day, and heads up long stone stairwell to find an orb. He touches it and a fake wall opens. He continues through to find a chest next to some grave where a skull is surrounded by flowers. He's figured he's robbed enough graves for one day, and leaves this one alone as he heads to the left where there's an opening in the cavern. He appears back atop a mountain nearby where he entered. It is dark and the air is frigid and crisp, but he's happy to be above ground again. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe for more audio description content. Comment how I did. I'm always looking for feedback. And be sure to join the Discord and come hang out and stay up to date on when I'm going to do another live audio description. Link in the description below. So once again, I'm Soundwave Spectre, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.